So, last week, where did we end things? I did not write down the verse for some odd reason. I know we're in the middle of chapter 24. Did anybody write it down?
Start with 10, I think.
You said we're ready for 10?
Yeah, verse 10.
Thank you for being a good student. I haven't done this for a while. And Patsy, I'm sorry, but I'm starting him with a gold star for the day. Yes. He's the only one who gave me any hint to where we're going. So, what I'll do then, just for context, make sure we know where we're at and know what's going on. My next paragraph is verses 10 and 11. But we'll go ahead and we'll read 1 through 11 just to put it back into context. So we know what's going on. We know what's happening. And then we'll see what God has in store for us tonight. Does that work? All right. So, Genesis chapter 24. I'm going to read 1 through 9 as context, and then 10 and 11. Abraham was now very old, and the Lord had blessed him in every way. He said to the senior servant in his household, the one in charge of all that he had, "Put your hand under my thigh. I want you to swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that you will not get a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I am now living. But will go to my country and my own relatives and get a wife for my son Isaac." The servant asked him, "What if the woman is unwilling to come back with me to the land? Shall I then take your son back to your country you came from?" "Make sure that you do not take my son back there," Abraham said. "The Lord, the God of heaven, who brought me out of my father's household and my native land, and who spoke to me and promised me on oath, saying, 'To your offspring I will give this land,' he will send his angel before you so that you can get a wife for my son from there. If the woman is unwilling to come back with you, then you will be released from this oath of mine. Only do not take my son back there." So the servant put his hand under the thigh of his master Abraham and swore an oath to him concerning this matter. Then the servant left, taking with him 10 of his master's camels, loaded with all kinds of good things from his master. He set out for Aram Naharaim and made his way to the town of Nahor. He had the camels kneel down near the well outside the town. It was toward evening, the time the women go out to draw water. So, reading it back in context, what do you notice? What stands out? What questions do you find yourself wanting to ask? Just as some of you are still eating, I'll just say this. I don't know why I didn't pay attention to this last week. Abraham doesn't call Canaan his land. He knows that God has promised it to his descendants, but it's not home for him. And I find that a little interesting. What is it we say in our culture about home?
No place like it.
There's no place like home.
Where the heart is.
Where the heart is. Be it ever so humble. The reality is, right here, early on in the story, even though God has promised them a place, understand, nowhere in our faith is place and home necessarily the same thing.
No, it's not.
Do you get what I'm saying by that? Go for it, Jane.
But Abraham doesn't own any land there except what he bought for to bury his wife.
Right. He's got this one field with a cave in it that he's turned into a graveyard, which of course the Hittites don't understand and they're confused by. But so he doesn't own any land, but then to the same degree, though, he didn't own any land around Nahor either. The last place that he might have owned some land would have been in Ur of the Chaldeans. It makes me think a little bit. On Easter Sunday, we went to my dad's place, over in Davies County, Indiana. And all our kids were there. The ones who didn't get to come here for Easter met us at my parents' house. And Dad took, after everybody had left, all of our kids went up to the place in Plainville. Plainville's my hometown where I grew up. And shortly before we went to ministry, Dad sold us the house I grew up in, and he built my mom a house. Now, and ladies, in a way that you'll completely understand, I'm certain, my dad, who builds houses for a living, promised my mom he'd build her a house. He told that to her before they got married. After their 25th wedding anniversary, he finally started building the house. But that house that he built outside of Plainville is the closest thing that my kids ever called to home. Because Leah was 4 when we went into the ministry. She was 6 when we moved away from there. You know, in first grade, she moved away. And so for our kids, we moved all around the state of Indiana, but my parents' house was home. And then we all went up there because Dad was selling that house. And it was kind of interesting. The kids all said, you know, it felt a little bit like a funeral procession as all 5 of our cars plus my parents' car, so 6 cars went down the lane, and one more time we walked through the house. And so I just find it interesting that in all of his journeys, Abraham still doesn't call Canaan home. Now, I don't know what to make of that. Is there anything to that or not? But that's just what stood out to me this time. Anybody else get anything? What you got, Kaylee?
So in 24:7, the word descendant in my Bible wants me to look at the word seed.
Correct.
And then it hands it to the end of 24 and also said seed.
Correct.
Is there more of a meaning there? Like, I get seed and descendants, that makes me, but is there more to that? Like, are we actually talking about people, like, and bloodline people, or like, plant seed?
So, the NIV that I'm reading from tonight used the term offspring instead of seed. I think some use descendants. Does anybody else use a different word other than those 3? Seed, descendants, offspring?
Descendants.
Yours says descendants?
It's offspring.
This is one of those things where, again, why I love in Bible study when we get a number of different translations, because in particular in the Old Testament, like I said, the Hebrew language really only has 900 words. That's it. Now, you can modify those words and make them male or female. You can make them a verb, a noun, a person, place, or thing. The one I like to point out, we dealt with a couple weeks ago, Amelech, Melech means king. If it's dealing with a person, it means kingdom. If it's dealing with a place, it means to reign or to rule if it's being used as a verb. And with the in front of, it means son of, or my dad is the king kind of concept. So you have layers of meaning with any word that the Hebrew uses. And so I think her question about the word really is seed. Now, of course, we don't talk about our children as our seeds, but there's a sense in which that's very true, especially for our family, because we've got seeds planted all over the state of Indiana. But I think that that language is important because not all of Abraham's offspring will necessarily be a part of his seed. They're not all going to bear the kind of fruit that God says he's going to bless. Do you get what I'm saying by that? And especially if you've read much of the Old Testament, you know most of the Israelites, the children of Abraham, really aren't very good people. They don't follow God's law. So I think that that's probably, to a certain degree, that's probably very intentional, Kaylee. Because again, I think God likes that imagery. And of course, you know, in the Gospels, Jesus is constantly using farming imagery. Casting the seed and sowing the seed crops growing and fruitfulness and all those kind of concepts. So I don't think it's accidental. How much it's pointing to, the spiritual side of things at this point, I don't know. Is that fair? Anybody else have anything that they saw?
The servant is looking for a relative.
The servant is looking for a relative. We don't know.
And his brother is there.
And Abraham's brother is in this area, yes. So again, we want to reiterate that this is a time period in human history where God has not issued the rule, don't marry somebody close to you, because we know today that can cause birth defects and things like that. But apparently the human genome, the scientist in me at this point believes that it hasn't broken down so much that that's a problem. Anything else you notice?
First 3 generations of the Jews were Chaldeans.
Absolutely. So God took a people and made them out of a people who were wanderers who came from the Chaldeans. These are not Africans. They're not Europeans. They're what we would call Middle Easterners for certain. And that's where they came from. The Chaldeans, by our exclamation or by our understanding, would be modern day Iraq and Kuwait. That kind of region is where he came from. These were, and the interesting thing about that is that they were river people. They lived along the Tigris and the Euphrates. And so Abraham left behind one culture of farming and agriculture, much like Egypt, and embraced a very different lifestyle. He's become a shepherd, right? Anything else you notice?
I got a question.
Go for it, Crystal.
Is there a reason why he loaded up 10 camels? Is it 10? Is it why is it not 9 or 11? Like that significant number? Or is it just because it was 10?
In our understanding, 10 is kind of our perfect number, right? We deal with sets of 10. That's just the way our mathematics work. That would not necessarily be the case back then. So I'm not 100% certain that there's a whole lot to it other than one servant with 10 camels is a lot of camels. I mean, we don't get that he brought anybody else with him. Actually, come to think of it, if he didn't bring anybody else with him, he must be pretty stout as a man too. You might not want to mess with this guy if he can handle 10 camels at once. And Abraham trusted him to handle 10 camels by himself. I would think that'd be almost a big target. Hey, come rob me. So this guy must have been something to see. But to be honest, Crystal, I don't know that in this instance there's significance to the 10, other than it's just a lot for one person to handle. Anything else?
Abraham said the Lord will send an angel ahead of him.
Yes.
So, yes. How many times have we seen in Abraham's life where he goes somewhere and then he invokes the Lord? This time, Abraham is sending his servant and he says, the Lord will go before you. We really are kind of seeing a different Abraham since the whole Isaac thing, aren't we? Anything else you notice or any other question we want to ask? I'm not saying there's more. We're trying to ramp back up, get back into our chapter. Then my next paragraph.
He had men with him.
He does have men with him?
Yeah, because he says, Laban tells him to come in. He said, come in, where you're standing out there.
But you're reading ahead.
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
All right, we'll read the next paragraph, 12 to 14. Maybe we'll get that answer.
Revelation 3:10.
Yeah.
Don't jump too far ahead.
She just wanted to see if he was.
I was like, We read about more people? Is my Bible wrong? Did I get it wrong? No, just have to one. You're down the road waiting for it. They're gonna meet him along the way.
Yeah.
Okay, 12 to 14.
That will dip in.
He prayed, Lord, God of my master Abraham, make me successful today and show kindness to my master Abraham. See, I am standing beside this spring, and the daughters of the townspeople are coming out to draw water. May it be that when I say to a young woman, please let down your jar that I may have a drink, and she says, drink, and I'll water your camels too. Let her be the one you have chosen for your servant Isaac. By this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. Go for it.
First of all, we prayed, but mainly it was very specific.
Yeah. Abraham has faith God's going to go before him, but this servant prays a really pointed and eloquent prayer, does he not? How often do we have the faith to ask this specifically?
I have.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you have. Be honest. You know, for a lot of my ministry, I was always so concerned about praying for healing or something like that, and then it not happen, and then what do you do? So bare minimum, I would always hedge my bets with my prayer, and I'd say, but Lord, let your will be done. That kind of, I'm going to pray for this, but I'm not really going to believe it's going to happen. So I'm going to say, Lord, whatever your will is, let that be done. But that's not the way he prays this prayer. He very pointedly says, Lord, show kindness to my master.
I was talking about him.
Yeah, he's not even praying for him. Well, he's kind of praying for himself. This guy has, sworn an oath that basically he would give up his inheritance if he doesn't fulfill the oath. So there's a level of probably some self-preservation here, but that's not what he's praying about. He's praying earnestly on behalf of his master. To me, it definitely shows a level of love and care for his master that we really haven't seen up to this point, have we? Anything else?
Ten camels drink a lot of water.
10 camels are going to drink a lot of water. Remember, the illustration I gave, I've got to find that map. I want to give you guys that map. It's basically like going from Evansville to Toronto on foot with 10 camels. I'm certain they're pretty thirsty. There's probably not a lot of, my understanding of that is it's wilderness. There's probably not a lot of springs along the way.
Homes are dehydrated.
Their humps would be pretty flat. So this lady he's asking for is going to be someone who is very kind. Not just kind, very kind. Almost a servant's heart is what we might say today, right? Anything else you notice in this? Any other questions?
So does she take them to the river to drink?
I think it's a well, so I'm assuming it's a well because they talk about drawing the water.
Okay.
Let's see if we can catch up to Dallas over here. I don't know if I'll get far enough, but we'll go 15 and 16 next paragraph.
They're coming.
Before he had finished praying, Rebekah came out with her jar on her shoulder. She was the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, who was the wife of Abraham's brother Nahor. The woman was very beautiful, a virgin. No man had ever slept with her. She went down to the spring, filled her jar, and came up again. So, what do you notice? We still haven't caught up with Dallas. We'll get there. Any thoughts?
Answering his prayer immediately.
God was answering his prayer, and not just with anybody, but someone that appears, if she fulfills what he asks, this lady's like the cream of the crop. Anything else? Oh, it does say, yeah, you're right. It does say spring there in verse 16.
Yeah, so that's where she.
That's where they're going to get the water. So this is probably, oh my goodness, think of that. Anybody been to a natural spring? Unless they're a big spring, it's not it's slow going. So if this guy's prayer was that she would give water for him and all his camels, this is not, this is going to be a long fill up. We're talking like, a 16-wheeler here with both tanks empty.
How big's the jug?
How big's a jug?
She's setting it on her shoulder.
Their jugs were somewhere between 2 and 3 gallon size.
They're the pointed ones, right?
Yeah, they're kind of a point. Most of the jugs that we would associate with this time period and this area are kind of upside down teardrop shape. They usually come to a point, so it would be laying on her shoulder and she'd be holding it up, kind of thing. And it's also designed for it to be carried on a stand. It's meant to be designed, that those jugs in particular were designed to be able to balance the weight pretty easy. But it says she's only brought one. It doesn't say she's brought 2. But yeah, if this is a spring, this is going to be a slow fill up. What you got, Jane?
I don't think you're right.
You don't think I'm right?
No. It says it's spring, but it keeps repeating later. Earlier it called it a well and later it called it a well. So I think the spring was feeding a well.
Where do you see well? It's verse 13 and mine says.
Well, cisterns, we've been pretty far.
Well, earlier it talks about,
Verse 11 says, kneel down near the well. He's near the well. Verse 16 says she came down to the spring. So, probably what you said about a cistern is probably a little more accurate here.
hey, if you look, I know I jumped ahead, but down at 20 calls it a well again.
What's the Greek say?
Mine says.
I don't have the Greek down here. I've only got the Hebrew down here.
Okay, well, Hebrew say.
We're debating what our body of water here is, because at least twice it refers to it as a well, and at least once it refers to it as a spring.
But is it a spring that feeds a well at the bottom of it?
It could be.
Yeah, that could be.
It could be. For the sake of staying on top of it, let's see what the Hebrew says. I'll dust off my Hebrew a little bit. Not as good as I should be, but so we got verses 11. Verse 11 is clearly a well. Verse 16.
Well,
It's the same word.
What about 13?
Verse 13. Same word. So apparently, here's a good example. The one Hebrew word means all of them. A well, a spring, a cistern. It's a place, it's not a flowing river or a stream. It's a place where water collects that's not a lake or a pond. So this time it's not as fruitful. But okay, question answered. At least for now. Maybe. Probably not, but I'm acknowledging that. I told you guys I don't know everything. I really don't. Anything else?
Well, it's interesting because it says the townspeople's daughters are coming. So that means she'd have to wait in line every time.
So bare minimum, there will probably be more than one unless she's the early one. Right?
Because they're all the daughters of the townspeople are coming to draw water.
He apparently knows enough that he knows approximately what time the daughters of the townsfolk, the ladies, come out. And he's made sure that he got there before they start coming out. And right now it's only talking about Rebecca. It doesn't say she's alone. It doesn't say she's with people, but he's there at the right time. And this is at least the first one that he takes note of. Whether she's the first one, she might be the early bird that gets the worm. She's a morning person. Weird people. Actually, this is the evening, and sorry, wrong discussion. Yes. What you got, Kaylee?
Thinking well thing, so my little, I don't know, app is or whatever, when it says the word spring, it almost relates it to more, they use that word more for a locational purpose, like what you're looking at, whereas when it says well, it relates it to getting water from. So the spring would be more of the like the spring, but it's the well. Does that make any sense what I'm trying to say?
So there, it would be like where I'm from, because I can't speak to over here yet, still learning the geography. There's West Baden Springs near Paoli, and where they've got all kinds of stuff, but you don't go to the springs to get water, you go to the well at the springs.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. But from a Hebrew standpoint, the words are essentially the same, it's just how they're being utilized. Anything else? Okay. Verse 17. The servant hurried to meet her and said, "Please give me a little water from your jar." I'm a little concerned that it says he hurried. He's going to sound a little eager, but I guess if you've been traveling for days by foot, maybe he was a little eager to get some water. Anything else you notice?
Maybe he didn't want her to get away.
Maybe he didn't. If the pretty girl comes out first, we don't want her to get away. Maybe this is the one, God.
Has to get her quickly.
To the test, he's asking for water, see if she's the one that
He's
supplies.
maybe God isn't just gonna provide a lady, but he's gonna provide the first one so he's done and he can get home. What you got, Kaylee?
Just a little perspective, because that's, anyway, so knowing the future of this relationship and what happens, is there a chance that by him praying so specifically and so pointed and rushing things, is there a chance that this is him and what I would say lighting his own fire and instead of letting God light the fire? Is that Elisha that did that? The other guys lit their own fire and it was.
So it's not like that, it's not waiting.
Like is he kind of pushing the destiny for this wedding? Cause she's not the right one.
Well, potentially you could make that case, but I don't think it's trying to imply that. And of course, we're going to see here in a little bit that's not actually, I mean, it turned out that this is who God.
It was part of his prayer that he said that when I say to a young woman, please let down your jar that I may have a drink. So he's just doing what he told God he was going to do.
He is.
He's taking action over it.
He's just taking an active part, which actually, come to think of it, is kind of contrary to what we've seen out of Abraham for most of this time, right? I mean, Abraham's been pretty passive in most of this. So it's clear that Abraham's servant has either learned the lesson from Abraham and said, okay, I'm not going to do it like my master did it, or he's just a more go-getter kind of person. Anything else? Okay, verse 18. "Drink, my lord," she said, and quickly lowered the jar to her hands and gave him a drink. I'm going to read another one. Let's keep going. That's not enough to add to it. 19, oh, it goes to 21, I guess. Okay, I guess I'm reading 4 verses. After she had given him a drink, she said, I'll draw water for your camels too, until they have had enough to drink. So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the well to draw more water, and drew enough for all his camels. Without saying a word, the man watched her closely to learn whether or not the Lord had made his journey successful. What do you think? What do you notice? What you got, Carol?
He's just sitting there watching.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, he is the head of Abraham's household. He has been a servant his entire life. He might maybe relishing a little bit of the fact that he's getting served for once.
And being called Lord.
And being called Lord, yeah. But no, I seriously thought that too. I was like, dude, you're just gonna sit there and let it take place?
But he didn't interfere with what the Lord was doing by staying.
That's true. He didn't interfere with what the Lord was doing. He was waiting to see if she's really, truly the one.
She was probably a big one. Yeah. All. Well,
Okay.
Like the capital, careful. 16, no man had ever lain with her. You know, she was very beautiful. So she may have been an imposing.
You're saying she had a presence about her. Is it?
She's a Nephilim.
She is not a Nephilim. Oh my goodness. Put the Nephilim off the shelf into the box if we don't watch it.
Like the style, my friend. Like the style.
Only. No, dear. No. Yes, Justin, please save us.
Back in 14.
Back in 14.
Praying prayer.
Yep.
He said he's gonna ask one woman.
Oh.
Well, that's true.
One.
Yeah.
There's a definite article. He's not just gonna say he's gonna ask some. He's gonna ask a woman. That's a
She may
good.
have been the first one at the well.
She might not have been the first one at the well, but this is the one that he paid attention to. And she apparently, I'm going to do my best to add grace to where Steve was going and say she had a presence. She wasn't just beautiful. Maybe she was a little forthright, and therefore men were, I was going to say forthright men were afraid of her.
She's intimidating.
Intimidating.
Oh, okay.
You know, she's not afraid to tell them. You maybe got to channel a little bit of Terry. You know, not afraid to tell the guys what to do. Anything else?
Everybody's afraid of me.
I'm not afraid of you. I respect you, but I'm not afraid of you.
You better get there.
Well, I kind of wonder what she's thinking when she sees this one guy with 10 camels.
That's what, again, I'm still thinking, but you know, Dallas has gone down the road a little bit more, so apparently there might be some more guys here, but.
Guy that's not royalty, you know, in their own right, travels with that much of an entourage. Maybe that's what it's worth.
These camels are definitely loaded down with goods, you know. I mean, if we are being perfectly honest, and if it was us, and all of a sudden you see this guy who seems really road worn, and he's got 10 camels worth of goods, and you know, there might be a little something in helping this guy out. Maybe he's generous. You know, I mean, he's got 10 camels full of stuff. What? He's a single one, you know.
Well, he's not gonna catch very many of watching a woman work and him stand there and watch her.
Well.
Different time.
It's a very good.
Yeah, I'll get you.
I am going to acknowledge what my friend over here just said. It was a very different world. You know, it's only been the last 100 to 150 years where there was this notion where the woman stayed home and wasn't engaged. So, you know, they usually did it together. Anything else?
On this trip was, I mean, how far, I know it's a long ways, but I wonder how long,
I mean, by foot, you're talking, it's probably a good 5 to 7 days at least,
okay.
at least.
But
I
everybody
mean-
wore out.
Where? The trip from where?
From Canaan, where they were, or particularly, I think they were in, wasn't it Beersheba? Mamre right here is where he buried Sarah. And well, this map isn't gonna get it anymore. I gotta go to a different map. Got to put maps down.
Earlier, I thought you said like Evansville to Toronto.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
7-8 month trip.
it would be a long trip, but it wouldn't take. I mean, it'd be a long trip, but it's not gonna be. Remember, he's going with a purpose. So you have Haran is right here, and Jerusalem is right there. And where's my guide on this one? That's 200 miles.
Right?
You can ride a camel.
The
On
walking.
we're talking about 400 miles, give or take. Yeah, 20 days. So we're talking probably maybe 3 weeks on the road.
Decent month.
Yeah.
Good month trip, depending on how fast you're going. And he up to this point we haven't seen any more people with him, though Dallas is read ahead and she's clairvoyant and she knows there's other people.
Camels commonly travel 20 to 25 miles a day.
20 to 25 miles a day. So you're
That's what we said.
a good 16 to 21 days without any stops or. So he's been on the road for a while.
City.
Anything else? Keep going. My next paragraph is 22 and 23. When the camels had finished drinking, the man took out a gold nose ring weighing a beka and 2 gold bracelets weighing 10 shekels. Then he asked, "Whose daughter are you? Please tell me, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" There you go. There's the yes. Okay, so there's at least one other person with him, Dallas. There you go. You're finally correct.
Are you sure? If it was being my horse, I'd think, would you have room for us?
Okay, fair. Maybe not, Dallas. Maybe you're not correct yet. I now will heed this to Kaylee's point. He does have 10 camels. He's not just asking for lodging for himself. Fair point. Take a lot of room. Have to have
Big stall.
a big stall. Because camels are not little animals. And they're mean?
Stinky and maybe.
Well, I mean, stinky's relative, but let's face it, he's been on the road for 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's stinky. Yeah, he's stinky. He's a man, he's stinky.
They have axe body spray actually and or so.
Okay. I'm gonna draw attention to something.
Uh-oh.
Because I know something that maybe you don't. No, I'm not gonna draw attention to that because I don't know my weights and measures. Sorry.
It's a fifth.
Sorry, Dr. Lau, I've forgotten that from undergrad Old Testament
It's
studies.
about a fifth of an ounce. Our Bible knows what they weigh. 5.7 grams.
5.7 grams, a fifth of an ounce. 10 shekels is how much? Someone's already
4 ounces.
4 ounces.
114 grams.
What does he give her?
Load ring.
Gold, but specifically, what does he give her?
Nose.
A nose ring and bracelets. Does anybody know the significance of those 2 things?
Proposals. Isn't that a proposal in African tribes?
For most Middle Eastern and African cultures,
Nose.
they don't use this kind of ring for marriage. They use this kind of ring for marriage. And an armband is usually a sign of valor. People who wore bands on their arms were people like soldiers or warriors who've done well, or people who had done right by others. So he gives her the armbands, and he's giving her a nose ring. And he's asking, is there a place for us, whether it's him and his camels or him and some other people and the camels, we'll find out, at your father's house. Do you think she knows what's going on?
It just says he took them out, he didn't give them. She might, but there's a lot of wiggle room in this story for her to know what's going on.
There's a potential for wiggle room that she might know what's going on. I'm going to go with Steve's good intentions and say she's probably pretty astute. I'm hoping.
She's a woman.
Like I said, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt because she's probably pretty astute. But I'm just acknowledging that for us, when we read about a nose ring, that doesn't mean the same thing to us that it would mean to them. The simple fact that he takes it out, and there's a discussion whether he's actually fully given it to her or not, he's taken it out in front of her, and he's asked a question about her father. That seems to me to be pointing in a direction, does it not?
Because he's gonna have to ask the father for permission before he ever talks to her about it, right?
Absolutely. He's going to have to talk to the father before he can ask. Father will have to agree to this. But he believes, because of his prayer, that he's found the one, or else he wouldn't have done this.
Hey, Pastor Sam.
Yes, Crystal.
On mine it says for two large gold bracelets. Is there a reason why there's two large bracelets, not one?
Casey says he's buttering her up. So, I mean, if one is good, then isn't two better? It's laying it on a little thing. We don't really, I don't know. I think, Crystal, again, I'm glad you're asking those questions because in general, numbers mean something. But in this case, I don't know if it does mean something specific or not. What's clear is he has asked for a big task. He intentionally was moderately deceptive in what he said to her. She fulfilled his big ask to God. And now he's very clearly maybe laying it on a little thick. He does have 10 camels laden with goods,
The revelation in me is going, 10 shekels on her arm, 10 camels,
10 camels,
10 shekels.
10 shekels worth of gold.
Probably 10 guys hanging out somewhere in the woods too.
Oh. Let's keep reading on that one. 24-25. She answered him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, born to Nahor. And she added, we have plenty of straw and fodder, as well as room for you to spend the night. So what do you notice?
Wouldn't she think that he's trying to propose to her?
Well, I'm certain she probably does. And that's the wiggle room in the story. But how is her response to him? She's like, sure, come on, we got plenty of room. Maybe this is, like you said, 10 shekels of gold, 10 camels. We got lots of room for all your camels.
So it says,
But she may be surprised when she realizes not this man that looks like he's super wealthy, is the other guy who's not even met yet.
That is a fair point. She's kind of maybe buying into the guy in front of her, not knowing that it's
To bait and switch.
a little bit of bait and switch. Anything else? He hasn't told her nothing yet.
She was just being kind.
Okay. Thank you for thinking the best of her. She was kind from the get-go. She's giving him water, taking care of his camels. Maybe it's not that big of a stall, but she's like, we'll find room for your 10 camels because she's just the nice person. Thank you.
She's also meeting a stranger. They probably don't have too many strangers come through their little area. So, and we talked about their hospitality.
Point. Yeah. Again, we just cannot understand their cultural proclivity to hospitality. That's just not something we can even, there's nothing we have to relate to. All right, I hope you're gonna keep us redeeming.
Yeah, so
Okay,
we're using AI here, but
Uh-oh.
it says that bracelets were given at that time in sets or marriage reasons. They represent completeness and wholeness.
so in case there was any doubt with the nose ring, then a set of bracelets to a lady was another, is what AI is saying.
Yes.
Trust that it's AI.
What?
I think she's thinking that maybe this, what you got, Kaylee?
Strong's.
Strong's exhaustive concordance? Or-
Yeah, I'm learning this. It's new to me, but that's also what this says too.
I have a nice, so the Bible I brought down and I've been using all throughout the study is the Cultural Background Study Bible. I told you guys, I don't read the study notes on purpose unless we get to a place, because I always want to start with what scripture says and you move to someone else's thoughts on scripture later. And for me, AI is even beyond other people's thoughts, but that's okay. It's not bad, but I'm just gonna read this. I know nothing of what this says, okay? I'm clarifying right from the start. This says Genesis 24, 50 to 54. We're not quite to 50 to 54, but it's marriage contracts. In addition to the nose ring and bracelets initially presented in Genesis 24, 22, the remainder of the bride price is summarized here. Marriage customs included an exchange of wealth between the families with several purposes. The marriage price indicated here is given from the groom's family to the bride's family. This transfer is a part of the socioeconomic system of provision and should not be thought of as a purchase of chattel like we might have had in our American history. In Sumerian sources, one form of bride wealth is made up primarily of foodstuffs presented just before the wedding feast. This type of gift would have been an impractical option for Abraham's servant because of the long trip. We discussed that. Bare minimum 16 days, probably closer to 21 days, maybe even a whole month. Provision of foodstuff by the family brings to mind our modern practice of the groom's parents bearing the responsibility for the rehearsal dinner and the bride's family bearing the responsibility for the reception. A less common form sometimes included precious objects and is presented when the agreement is made between the families. The latter is more likely to be what's being represented here. So we're going to get to the rest of this. Yeah, we got 41 minutes. We should get to the end of this chapter at the rate we're going, maybe. But all of these pieces are meant to be eliciting to the culture that first received the story of Genesis written down. Everyone would hear this is marriage proposal stuff. Every aspect of this. So even though she might be a very kind woman, she's probably not naive in what this would mean either. Yes.
Would she have known that he's not from, like, would she have, they've not crossed paths?
Oh, I'm certain. For a long time I thought that people of this era did not travel a lot. And there were people who never moved. But we have that today, right? People who never moved from the same community their entire life. But they have found evidence that there were a number of the people who moved all the time. So it could be that they had a number of visitors because, again, that call to hospitality was very common for this point in history. But it also seems clear that, she doesn't know him. And the thing of it is we don't even get the sense this is Abraham's servant. It's not Abraham's blood relative. So this is someone that Abraham has picked up in the land of Canaan. He might be an Egyptian. He might be a Canaanite. He could be a Hittite. We don't know who he is, but he's definitely not from there. He would not have the features and more than likely the dress of the locals. He came in here wearing IU red in Illinois territory.
So she would be potentially saying yes to this man that's completely from a different culture than her.
Very much so.
it makes me feel maybe she wasn't necessarily a woman of, like,
Or maybe she thought, I don't want any of these local boys getting me out of town.
excellent, all right.
I mean, that could be too. You know, how many stories do we have that have that kind of a theme to them?
Is she related to Abraham?
Yes.
So neat.
So she would be Abraham's niece. So she would be Isaac's first cousin. Actually, technically double first cousin.
Yes, 'cause they're-
Because Nahor is Abraham's uncle and his mom, her mom is Sarah's half brother's daughter. And we're getting close to I am my own grandpa here, but we're not quite
They're
there.
related.
Yeah.
What?
They're related. right?
They're related, closely related. Keep going. I lost my 26. 26 to 27 is my next paragraph. Then the man bowed down and worshiped the Lord, saying, Praise be to the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not abandoned his kindness and faithfulness to my master. As for me, the Lord has led me on a journey to the house of my master's relatives. So what do you think?
Didn't forget to get thanks.
He is probably out since Noah, he is probably the most faithful person we've encountered, isn't he? What you got?
Why do we keep wanting relatives to mass produce and marry? Why is it still a thing?
It's not a thing anymore.
This is a really important stage in all of our lives, right here.
God's DNA that he made in us when it was very good is not as corrupt yet.
We're corrupt now.
If you were corrupt then,
I mean, we did have the story of Noah and God wiped out, all of creation except for the 8 people, and we discussed this, we came from the 6 of them because there were 3 sons and just the 3 wives, and it doesn't say that Noah had any more kids, so everyone's related to everybody, Kaylee.
Sorry, Justin.
This is Kentucky. What?
With an emphasis on Ken.
With an emphasis on kin. Let's keep going. 28. My next paragraph is actually kind of long. 28 through 31. The young woman ran and told her mother's household about these things. Now Rebekah had a brother named Laban, and he hurried out to the man at the spring. As soon as he had seen the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's arms, and had heard Rebekah tell what the man had said to her, he went out to the man and found him standing by the camels near the spring. Come, you who are blessed by the Lord, he said. Why are you standing out here? I have prepared the house and a place for the camels.
So is this prophesied anywhere?
Anywhere.
Not that we have so far, no.
What'd you tell her mother's household instead of her father's household?
So there you go. That's an important question. I thought women weren't important at this point. Isn't that what we've been told?
Intense.
Apparently, in this case, she's got her own place. She's kind of the matriarch at this point.
Her brother thinks this is an opportunity for her to leave.
Mike says her brother thinks this is an opportunity for her to leave.
I just don't get why, how do you go from a complete strangers walking up with camels to, oh, shit, and Jesus is answering all of our things.
Have you watched anything that comes out of Hollywood?
I just don't-
How many stories does the rich guy pull into town and they're wanting to marry some girl off to her almost immediately?
Hallmark weird.
Hallmark stories.
Only takes an hour.
It only takes. Bible land, it only takes 10 camels and a jug of water. To be fair, I get this does feel odd to us. This is not how we approach relationships, is it? And yet, I'm certain that both for Rebecca and for, it seems very clear with Laban, now that we get introduced to Laban, that they're both seeing man with 10 camels and lots of goods. Hey, let's increase our standing here. If he brought this with him, what's he got at home? Unless this is everything and he's pulled up in the RV like, the uncle in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. What you got, Dustin?
In 27, it says, "For he has let me strength my master's relatives."
Correct.
Is he referring to, he knows that they're related, or is he referring to his future wife?
I think at this point in time, he's saying he knows that they're related because in the chapter or the paragraph before 24 and 25, she says she is the daughter of Milcah born to Nahor. Nahor was Abraham's brother who passed away.
But I know I made a joke about it earlier, but in all seriousness, Abraham specifically said, go and find my relatives, and now we found relatives, and now we're making a wife out of relatives. I just don't understand, is that to play a role in fulfilling God's covenant? Like, is that a part of that?
I think, and this does speak to some of the problem we're going to see throughout the Old Testament. The question you're raising does speak to a problem we're going to continue to see. There is a general distrust of those who are not us.
Okay.
So there's probably an assumption that because Abraham is a worshiper of Yahweh, that all Abraham's family would have been worshipers of Yahweh. Now, we don't know that to be the case, and we actually don't really ever see that, but at least there is an assumption that they're not these pagans like the people of the land.
So he's just saying the person needs to be
someone like us.
that helps him.
I mean, and I think that's more important to see. This is not kissing cousins like we joke about today. This is about someone who thinks like us, who lives like us, who understands us, who's not going to try to change us, kind of thing. And this becomes a problem for the Israelite people. Even though God says eventually, and he's already told Abraham this, that they're supposed to be a blessing to all the people, they get to a place where they don't just try to defend themselves from the others, they begin to get to the place where they keep the others. But that's not what's happening here. I think this genuinely is find someone who's going to be amenable to Abraham's way of life and what Abraham has felt called to do, and therefore what Isaac will continue to do. Does that make sense?
I was kind of curious why in verse 31, Laban actually says, "Come in, blessed of the Lord." So,
well, I mean, he's got 10 camels laden with stuff.
Right, but if you look in the translation, it actually uses Jehovah.
Ah. Ooh, does it really? Now this is a good verse 31. He absolutely. So, extremely valid point. Had not caught that before. Good job. God does not completely reveal himself as Yahweh, Jehovah, however you want to pronounce his divine name, until we get the burning bush with Moses. But the simple fact that this name is being used here is pointing to a very clear, this is someone who worships the same God. Now, later on, we're going to see that Laban kind of worships the same God, but he at least knows, hey, we're going to use I had someone ask me this question this week. We took it a member on Sunday in worship, and we did the Apostles' Creed, but because we're from the branch of Christianity that came descended from the Catholic Church. We say one holy Catholic Apostolic Church. It could also be one holy universal apostolic church. That word Catholic just means universal. And some denominations go ahead and change it out so that there's no confusion that we're not Catholic. But he's using the language that this servant would have heard his master Abraham use. So I think that's a further confirmation to him that he's in the right place. And I think it further goes to what you were saying, Kaylee, about this, the concern, it's not just family, this is that kin notion. These are the people who are like us, and he knows they're not using the word El. El was the common name for the high god of this whole region. He's not using that language. He's using a specific name of a specific God. And that is the God of the people that Abraham is. So that's a good catch. Anything else? Go for it, Carol. I see it. All right, you're finally percolating, right?
Later we see, Laban must have covered all his bases, because later he thought his gods were stolen. That's way on a bit down.
Put a pin in that. Because that's an important distinction we're going to get to at that point, and it doesn't quite mean what you think it means. But I don't disagree with your sentiment about Laban. He seems to be a guy who likes to cover his bases. You know, when in Rome, you pray to the Roman God. Laban kind of has that kind of a personality about it. Very quick, just because at the rate we're going, we might not get to it till Thanksgiving. When he uses the language as as Jacob is returning, of someone has stolen my household gods. That language is the language that's used all throughout the Middle East, the Sumerian culture at this time, and those were individual idols that were tied to plots of land. They were a land deed. So whoever owned the god of that land owned the land. And so by stealing his household gods, Rachel took all the deeds to the property just in case. So, but we're going to stick a pin in that. We'll come back to that. But yes, still the principle of what you're saying about Laban is not unfounded, even in this passage. He's using the right language, but he's like, we got a wealthy guy here. Come on in. This might be advantageous. As Mike says, maybe I can get rid of my sister. She's been annoying for too long.
But you don't know what she may have been praying either.
We don't. Now, there's the other side.
She may have been praying for this, a very specific.
You know, she has kept herself pure. She has not been defiled. She's not given in to anybody else's overtures. And if she was beautiful to look at, I'm sure there were some. Keep going. 32 and 33. So the man went to the house, and the camels were unloaded. Straw and fodder were brought for the camels, and water for him and his camels to wash their feet. Then food was set before him.
What?
His men.
Hey. And waters were brought for him and his men to wash their feet.
Oh, Dallas, there it is.
Then was set before him, and he said, I will not eat until I have told you what I have to say. Then tell us, Laban said. So there you go. All right. Clairvoyant Dallas.
Finally made it.
Who finally caught up to her.
They finally got it.
All the camels were males.
If you didn't hear, Justin said all the camels were men. They're males. He didn't have any other. Okay, move on. 34 to 38. So he said, I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has blessed my servant abundantly, and he has become wealthy. He has given him sheep and cattle, silver and gold, male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. My master's wife Sarah has borne him a son in her old age, and he has given him everything he owns. And my master made me swear an oath and said, you must not get a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I live, but go to my father's family and to my own clan and get a wife for my son. I'm going to read 39:2. Then I asked my master, what if the woman will not come back with me? And I'm just going to keep reading. Let's finish his story. He replied, the Lord, before whom I have walked faithfully, will send his angel with you and make your journey a success, so that you can get a wife for my son from my own clan and from my father's family. You will be released from my oath when you go to my clan. If when you go to my clan, they refuse to give her to you, then you will be released from my oath. Let me stop or keep talking. Keep going, let's finish it. When I came to the spring today, I said, Lord, God of my master Abraham, if you will, please grant success to the journey on which I have come. See, I am standing beside the spring. If a young woman comes out to draw water, and I say to her, please let me drink a little water from your jar, and if she says to me, drink, and I'll draw water for your camels too, let her be the one the Lord has chosen for my master's son. Before I finished praying in my heart, Rebekah came out with her jar on her shoulder. She went down to the spring and drew water, and I said to her, please give me a drink. She quickly lowered her jar from her shoulder and said, drink, and I'll water your camels too. So I drank, and she watered the camels also. I asked her, whose daughter are you? She said, the daughter of Bethuel, son of Mahor, whom Milcah bore him. Then I put the ring in her nose, and the bracelets on her arm, and I bowed down and worshipped the Lord. I praised the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who had led me on the right road to get the granddaughter of my master's brother for his son. Now, if you will show kindness and faithfulness to my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, so I may know which way to turn. And I'm going to stop right there. What do you think? He's making sure, I will say this, he is making sure that she knows and Laban knows. He is not the one getting married.
You're right about that.
He's making very clear. He's not the one seeking a bride. He's
spelling it all out.
He is spelling it all out. He is giving no question of doubt of what his purpose is. Anything else you notice in this?
He gave her the bracelets and an oath ring before he even asked her father.
There's a sense in which he even acknowledges. He kind of jumps to the gun. He's a little excited. He feels like he's already got there, and he hadn't even asked if she was related. And then he finds out she's related. He's like, this has got to be it.
And it says he put the ring in her nose.
He put the ring in her nose.
Mine says
A couple of them say, their translation says on her nose.
I don't know how you put it on someone's nose.
Unless you've got a really turned up nose.
clamp figure down.
Yeah, it could be a claim one,
No, it's just blood.
Covenant rules. Okay. Covenant still in blood, so let's keep reading. 50 and 51. Let's draw them back in before we get too far down the road in a way I don't want to. Verse 50. Laban and Bethuel answered, this is from the Lord. We can say nothing to you one way or the other. Here is Rebekah, take her and go, and let her become the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has directed.
Not that it really matters.
Not that it really matters, but
Becca and Isaac are not first cousins. First cousins once removed.
very good technical detail. First cousins once removed.
That means.
Parent, kids, first cousins once removed, second cousins. there's a half of a step of generation extra than just first cousin.
Rebecca's father Bethuel would have been Isaac's first cousin.
Rebecca's father would have been Isaac's first cousin.
Nahor, Abraham's brother.
Brother, correct.
Brother.
Who is acting, who's the one doing the primary talking? Laban, but who's the one who gets to make the decision? Bethuel. And both of them,
They didn't even ask Rebecca.
they did not ask Rebecca at all.
She already accepted, she put the nose ring and bracelet.
She invited him home, she took the nose ring and.
Does you really get a say?
Could she have refused?
No.
Could she have? Uncertain.
If this is God's will, she wouldn't have.
If it's God's will and she was actually a God follower, then she's not going to.
Feel.
But to be clear, in Israelite culture, while they were arranged marriages, the woman still can say no. Now, that doesn't mean things go well for her when she says no, but she can say no. It's not like in most of the world, but we're not there yet. For as much as Caleb is frustrated with Moses, he did bring some civility to some things. We'll see. All right, next paragraph, because we got 16 minutes to get through this chapter. 52 through 54. When Abraham's servant heard what they said, he bowed to the ground before the Lord. Then the servant brought out gold and silver jewelry and articles of clothing and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. Then he and the men who were with him, not just the camels, ate and drank and spent the night there. When they got up the next morning, he said, "Send me on my way to my master." What do you think?
Where does the dad get gifts?
His dad doesn't get gifts. Her dad doesn't get gifts. Her dad's dead.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he is?
I think I missed that.
Oh, no.
No, because he
No,
said
that's-
he answered in 50.
Nahor is the one that's gone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nahor's.
Nahor, the who should be the patriarch of that family line, is the one who's gone. Laban's kind of acting in it, not Bethuel, his dad. But
you know,
Dad, like,
the servant had told them about his prayers to God and how God answered it at the well. And then in 50, Laban and Bethuel said, "This is from the Lord." So they're recognizing this is the Lord's will for.
it's a Hallmark movie.
Then prepare it.
To prepare.
Yeah. Abraham says an angel's going to go before him. He believes an angel's going to go before him. When he prays, he asks that the angel make this clear. He tells all the story to them, and I'm guessing they're like, "Well, sorry, Rebecca, you're getting married. You didn't know it when you woke up this morning, but congratulations, you're hitched." Now, to be clear, what the article I read the first part of earlier is saying is this notion of the gifts and the meal is the sealing of the engagement. Now, I think I've told you guys this before. In the Hebrew custom, which we don't know exactly when that started, but you see a glimpse of it here, you would have a meal between the two fathers. They would agree on the bride price. And when the couple agrees to get married, they would sit down and have a meal together. And from that point forward, they were engaged until the husband had prepared the place for them to dwell. That's the language Jesus uses in John's gospel. When I go to prepare a place for you, it's the language Jesus uses it at the Last Supper when he institutes the Lord's table, what we call communion. This is a very prominent marriage imagery being portrayed even in this chapter or this paragraph with the gifts and the meat. So in this instance, the servant
It's
Who-
proxy.
who, just so you understand, still has no name, is the proxy on behalf of Abraham, the father, and he is the proxy on behalf of Isaac, the son, who is being married. And he is working with Laban, who is the brother, not Bethuel, who is the father, to negotiate the bride price for Rebekah, the bride.
Who's older, Abraham, Bethuel or Laban though? Because that would mean who's.
Bethuel is the dad of Laban and Rebekah. But for whatever reason, we are seeing an imagery here of the head of the clan moving not from Nahor to Bethuel, but from Nahor past Bethuel to Laban.
But that doesn't mean that Bethuel didn't already.
Bethuel might have already passed it on to his son, though that doesn't generally happen. I think that speaks to Laban's place in the culture around him, and maybe Bethuel's lack of place in the culture around him. But we'll see that even greater down the road. Yes?
We still haven't talked about why it's very specific to give gifts to mother and the brother and not anything to the father.
Again, I think that's pointing to this reality of that for whatever reason, Bethuel does not hold the place of honor in this family.
Mike
It's probably
says
not the
his
business
role is
manager.
passive.
His role is
Bethuel-
extremely
Yeah,
passive.
more passive
Milcah
compared to Laban.
seems to be far more in charge. Now, even though she's not being mentioned by name at this point, we need to understand, if you have a strong female presence, and this is the daughter of a strong female, what might that say for the future?
Well,
What?
doesn't end well.
It does, I'm glad, for the record, Kaylee's the one who said this. Samuel Paget is just repeating Kaylee's words. It does not end well.
But do you agree?
I agree the fifth, I can neither confirm nor deny, I let scripture speak for itself.
This is the Harry lady, right?
It doesn't say she had hairy arms. She is the one who tells her twin boys to deceive their dad. This is the same person.
Yeah, that's all.
I'm just acknowledging that there is a family lineage here of strong women who tend to play a heavy role in how the family is orchestrated. Do you get what I'm saying with that? And that we're getting a little bit of a foreshadowing of that here, because we'll see this play out with Rebekah. And then whenever Jacob goes to get his wife, who's Leah and Rachel's dad? Laban. So Leah and Rachel come from the same stock of strong, independent, moderately manipulative women. Just say it. Normal. Okay. Jane, reel us in, please. Jane, you got something?
Maybe it's because some of the men then were like some of the men today, they're not exercising their role that God wants them to exercise. And I could say a lot more.
I'm 100% agreeing with you, Jane. I told you guys the theory that I kind of leaned towards from my professor last week about Isaac. But even if that's not true, what seems very true is Abraham and Isaac are not always assertive men who do not always stand up for what is right and who do not always present truth in a way that it should be presented. So you are not wrong, Jane. But if it's both and, it creates a recipe that we're gonna see is not always gonna end with. Fair enough?
Seems like that started with Adam and Eve.
Are you saying that God created all women as strong and independent?
It seems that way.
You said it, not me.
I did take charge over the man.
Well, we originally said it was God's job.
Oh, okay.
Try and finish, oh my goodness, we're got 7 minutes, so we're gonna finish this chapter. 55 and 56. But her brother and her mother replied, let the young woman remain with us 10 days or so, then you may go. But he said to them, do not detain me, now that the Lord has granted success to my journey. Send me on my way so I may go to my master. I want to keep reading. Then they said, let's call the young woman and ask her about it. So they called Rebekah and asked her, will you go with this man? I will go, she said. So they sent their sister Rebekah on her way, along with her nurse and Abraham's servant and his men, aka the camels. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, our sister, may you increase to thousands upon thousands. May your offspring possess the cities of their enemies. I want to pause right there. So what do you see in this?
Well, Laban said, hey, you can see my sister, can't you throw in a few more cows?
Okay, Kaylee, reel it in.
Need a childhood nurse. Is that normal?
Handmaiden. It speaks to this family's wealth as well.
Later on, called attendant.
An attendant, right? Nurse is the language that's used, but basically it's her handmaiden, it's her
Lady in waiting.
lady in waiting. It's not language we use today because everyone's independent. But Deb, to your question earlier, Rebecca gets a say. And she says, I'm out of here.
See, off to the
See ya.
next
Get rid of me for more money.
What?
Get rid of her for
I
money.
want as much as they can get out of this. Maybe some more camels, as Mike likes to say. And then they give this blessing.
Well, it's funny, he says, send me on my way and not let me go on my way. But then they said, no, stay for 10 more days.
How do you get that?
I mean, he is a servant himself.
He is a servant himself. I don't know what I'm about ready to say. I'm acknowledging that, okay? But I seem to recall that the 10-day period might be what the wedding feast would have been. That's what's coming to my head right now, but I'm not saying I remember that. Is that fair? So they would probably have had this big feast to celebrate the wedding, and the servant would be the proxy for this whole thing, and he'd be sitting at the table where Isaac should be sitting at, and he's like, look, I want to be done with this job. I said yes, I've kept my oath, now let me go so that because I don't want anybody to assume I'm married to her. Anything else to notice?
Other than blessing.
What you got, and then we'll go to,
So the blessing,
okay, blessing, you're both talking about blessing.
and that, I mean, that's similar to God's blessing that he spoke to Abraham.
It is a very similar blessing to what God spoke to Abraham. They would not have necessarily known that.
So it was either part of their culture or it was another confirmation integrated. God is orchestrated.
Maybe all three. A part of how their culture blessed one another. It could be them wishing well on her, and it could be another level of confirmation, because I'm certain this servant of Abraham probably knew everything that God had promised to Abraham. If Abraham trusts him enough to go do this task, I'm certain, and he is the head of Abraham's household, I'm certain he knows everything else about Abraham's relationship with God. So this probably is another confirmation. Were you gonna add anything more to that, or is that, she took your thunder? Good job. I'll give you the gold star this time. Okay, one out at the beginning, gotta get one out. Let's finish the chapter. Then Rebecca and her attendants, so it was a nurse earlier, now it's attendants, plural. Got ready and mounted the camels and went back with the man. So the servant took Rebecca and left. Now Isaac had come from Beer Lahai Roy, for he was living in the Negev. He went out to the field one evening to meditate. And as he looked up, he saw camels approaching. Rebecca also looked up and saw Isaac. She got down from her camel and asked the servant, "Who is the man in the field coming to meet us?" "He is my master," the servant answered. So she took off her veil and covered herself. Then the servant told Isaac all he had done. Isaac brought her into the tent of his mother Sarah, and he married Rebekah. So she became his wife, and he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So, what do you notice? What stands out? What questions do you want to ask as we kind of sum up and finish this chapter?
They had to stay 10 days because 10 symbolizes completeness. That's what that said.
A wedding feast typically lasts
Yeah,
7 days.
the wedding.
The wedding
Like
feast
you
within
said.
7 days, and then
Since it's using covenant, like
it's
completeness.
probably the covenant completeness, but what else do you know?
No Abraham.
Abraham's not here. And where is Isaac staying? In his mother's tent. And just for the record, the Negev is this area down to the south, almost down to the Red Sea. So Isaac, even while the servant has gone north to get a wife, Isaac has moved further south. What else do you notice? From the moment he sees her, he loves her.
Love at first sight.
And his sadness over the death of his mama is, well,
So what was left? Mother substitute.
So if the.
so there is a sense. Kathy, what I said last week, my professor implied the very same thing. There's a sense in which Isaac was a mama's boy, and his mama's gone, and
Not saying sexually, I'm just
Right.
saying, no.
he now has someone else who will care for him.
Exactly.
But as we'll see, her care for him is not always for his best interest. Anything else?
It's like they saw each other at a distance and the music comes up and all our.
Shindo.
Oh, yeah. And he bought the tree farm. Sorry.
I love that.
Right? There is a sense in which some of this almost feels too good to be true, but it also speaks to God's faithfulness here. There's a sense in which it seems clear. Isaac, he, for whatever reason, Isaac is never the assertive character in the story, and he's just glad to have her. He loves her. She is precious.
Lonely.
He's lonely, and he's not dwelling in dad's tent, he's dwelling in his mother's tent, which again speaks to this reality that made me uncomfortable whenever I first saw it. It seems like in the last stage of their lives, Abraham and Sarah were not.
Well, I mean, would you want to live with your dad who tried to kill you? I mean.
Well, there is that. There's that whole story. Dad, you tried to kill me once. I'm not living with you again,
I'm not sleeping in your.
But So there's a level of God's faithfulness through this. There's a sense of God's provision through this. There's a sense of Rebecca's faithfulness and her willingness to follow God. It's kind of a nice, wholesome, Hallmark loving deviation from the story for a short moment.
There's significance though where Isaac had come from, Beer Lahai Roy.
Bear the high, right?
I think that's where Hagar met with an angel.
It is another one of those places where
The living one who sees me.
right. So that is the area where Hagar had the first time she had fled. That I'm certain that story got told.
But why did he come from here?
Why did Sarah move her tent there?
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's some pieces there that are just, again, if it was told in modern day, we would want to know the answers to these, and we don't get those details. He doesn't go to one of the places where his dad had set up an altar. He goes to his stepmama's place of encounter with God. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that one. Maybe that sits back up on the shelf, and well, we got to deal with that one later. But as a whole, we took a break from the Jerry Springer show, and instead we got a little bit of Hallmark. For at least 1 week. So let's pray. Lord, even when our world is chaotic, you are still faithful. And stories like this remind us that you are faithful. You have a plan, you have a purpose, and Lord, you want what's best for us. May we have eyes to see and ears to hear those plans for us. And may we have the courage to pursue your plan for us. And Lord, when the journey is long and we don't feel like we've seen what you've got in store for us and life gets hard, may we continue to be like Abraham's servant and turn to you. Pray to you. Ask, seek you. Because, Lord, you are the God who sees us. And you are the God who provides. And because of that, we will worship you. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Amen.